Hi, I'm Lauren Kai. I'm president of Central 21 Keim Realtors, serving Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Now, for those of you who want to buy a home in Eastern Pennsylvania, where we are still under the governor's lockdown, I want to give you some thoughts on whether you should buy a home now or perhaps wait. And then I want to give you some information on what we call our safety first home viewing techniques, how we'll have to proceed after the quarantine's lifted, because we're hoping that at some point soon we'll be able to show you properties again. So you've got a lot of choices. You can buy a house right now during quarantine. We're selling them right now. You can wait until the quarantine ends and buy a property right away. You can wait 6 months or a year after the quarantine ends and buy a home then. But the interest rates might not be quite as good and prices may continue to rise. We'll talk about some of those possibilities in a minute. So let me back up. Can you buy a home during the quarantine? Well, today is May 14th. And there have been, since April 30th, in the last 2 weeks, 105 homes that have gone under agreement in the Poconos, even under this quarantine, with showings being illegal. There have been 105 homes that have gone under agreement over the last 14 days in the Poconos. In the Lehigh Valley multi-list, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, there have been 259 homes that have gone under agreement in the same period of time. That is 17 sales a day. So houses are selling, even though they're at lower levels, despite the quarantine. People are buying homes right now virtually. Now, just today, we received 4 offers on a property that we put on the market on Monday. No one's seen the house, no one's walked through it, but we do have pictures online. We do have an owner who's willing to walk through the house with a camera phone and virtually show the property to clients so that you at least can get a feel for it, but we're not allowed to actually show them. Now, we can do virtual tours and 3D tours if the property had them done prior to March 18th. After that, we have to have the owners take photos, and then we touch them up a little bit. We've got a specialist photographer that actually touches them up. We can do virtual open houses where the seller walks the property with the camera phone with many people on. We can do one-on-one virtual showings. We set those up in advance where you can ask the owner questions. We can even take mortgage approvals virtually, and we can do closings and write offers all virtually. It can all be done from the comfort of your living room. However, you don't necessarily feel the house the same way looking at it online as you might when you're walking through. But most of our sellers are willing to walk through the property, point out the key improvements, and help you to at least understand where everything is, and then you can study the photos. So what are the pros or cons of buying a home now without actually walking through it, or waiting until after the quarantine? Well, one of the pros is there are fewer buyers in the marketplace. Even though that house that I'm talking about has 4 offers on it today, there are fewer buyers making offers, which means less competition. Once this quarantine ends and everybody who can buy a house will come out all at once, there's a chance that we're going to have a lot of pressure on those prices, and it may be harder to buy. Let me explain it this way. Typically, the spring market happens between the middle of March and the middle of June. It tends to slow down once we hit the middle of June, and the summer tends to slow a little bit as people go on vacation. This year, with most of the spring market being stalled out, a lot of properties are likely to come on the market after the quarantine ends, but more importantly, a lot of buyers, that pent-up demand, are going to come back out into the marketplace and possibly buy, which is going to generate more competition for those properties. The interest rates are also fantastic. I don't know that we're ever going to see anything quite like this again. Now, the cons, because there are some negatives to this, is that you're only seeing the house virtually. And the second one is you either have to buy the house without a home inspection, which I do not recommend, or we have to hold off on even doing the home inspection until after the quarantine ends. So you can't settle until the quarantine ends if you want to do a home inspection. Now, looking at the interest rates as an example, one of our clients received a pre-approval today for 3.1%. But even at 3.33%, which is below the historic low of 4%, you're saving over a 30-year loan $27,600 based on a $200,000 loan with a 30-year amortization. That's Freddie Mac's numbers. The amount of money you can save right now at these incredible interest rates is just obscene. So if you can buy, it's not a bad time to buy at all based on the mortgage rates. National Association of Realtors just did a pretty extensive quick flash poll try and find out what's going to happen. And after a pause, there are home sellers gearing up to put their properties on the market after the quarantine ends. There are also plenty of buyers ready to take advantage of record low mortgage rates and the stability that comes from locking in these monthly payments into future years. We have some people buying $150,000, $160,000 homes, and if the taxes are under $3,500, $3,600 a year, they can actually own that home for less than $1,000 a month. Now compare that with what your mortgage payment is. A 3 or 4 bedroom single home. What does the survey note say about buyers? It says that only 17% of buyers stopped looking due to concerns about their employment or loss of a job. So yes, there are going to be some fewer buyers in the marketplace after the quarantine ends than there would have been. But instead of them coming out from March through late June, they may all come back into the market at once, creating some very strong buyer demand. One of the other things that's happening, if you're looking at a suburban market like the Lehigh Valley or the Pocono Mountains or Bucks, Montgomery County, all of which are areas we service, by the way, there are many individuals and families that are living in major cities like New York and Philadelphia that are looking to be outside the city next time something like this hits. So we're seeing a surge in the number of people that are searching, that are in urban areas now that are looking to move into suburban areas. In fact, according to Pew Research Center, 39% of respondents who lived in urban areas like New York and Philly have considered moving to a less populated area. So I've heard on the news all sorts of doom and gloom, but that's what's always on the news. Are prices going to fall after the quarantine? Well, I don't think so. Now, I don't have a crystal ball and I'm not a wizard. So you have to make up your own mind on what you think is going to happen. But I don't think it's likely, and I'll tell you why. Prices are driven by supply and demand, and the supply of homes is at the lowest level ever, and the number of buyers searching for homes online is very high and rising. So we're expecting a surge to come into the marketplace, which is going to create more demand against a limited supply, which tends to push prices up. And incidentally, a recession does not equal a housing crisis. In the past 5 recessions, home values actually appreciated in 3 of them. While it's true they sank almost 20% in the crash of 2008, and that's the most recent one in memory, that was a very unusual situation, and these are very different circumstances. So we don't expect it to crash and burn like it did in 2008, which was the worst case that I know of in history. Here's what some of the experts are saying. Ivy Zellman said, "We note that inventory as a percentage of households sits at the lowest level ever, something we believe will limit the overall degree of home price pressure throughout the year." Mark Fleming from First American says housing supply remains at historically low levels, so house price growth is likely to slow. So maybe we don't see a 4 or 5% increase this year. Maybe we see a 2 or 3% increase, but still an increase, but it's not likely to go negative. And Freddie Mac says 2 forces preventing the collapse in the housing price. First, U.S. housing markets face a large supply deficit. It means there's not very many on the market. And second, population growth and pent-up household formations provide a tailwind to housing demand. There are many people who want to buy. There isn't that much in the marketplace. So what can you do now? If you're not shopping online and trying to buy virtually, that's fine. You should obtain a pre-approval. If you're not looking to buy during the quarantine, get your finances in order so that you're ready to move, hit the ground running, and able to see properties once this quarantine lifts. Secondly, research the area where you want to live. Figure out what school district and neighborhoods interest you. Measure the distance to your work and narrow your search down. And finally, select a great agent to work with. Somebody who knows the market, somebody who knows the areas that you're interested in, and of course, I'd like you to use one of our great professionals at Century 21 Kime, but an agent can also help you to narrow your search and find you the best values. So viewing homes safely after the quarantine. Let's say you don't buy virtually, you start looking as soon as the quarantine ends. That's great. We're going to have to change the way we do this. So all parties are going to have to sign a COVID disclosure form that's going to protect both of you. The seller is going to sign it and say that they don't think they were sick and they haven't had a fever and so on, so that when you walk through the house, you can feel somewhat secure. And you're going to sign the same thing saying you didn't have a fever and you haven't been sick. So hopefully you're not spreading anything to the owner of the property. Every person going into the house needs to wear a mask, gloves, and shoe coverings. That's actually going to be Pennsylvania law. And no more than 2 individuals in a property at a time. That means, unfortunately, Don't bring the 6 kids and 3 grandkids and, the relatives and the cousins and everybody else. We can only take through 2 people at a time through a property once this quarantine lifts. This is our health and safety acknowledgement form, where you're going to fill it out and the seller is going to fill it out to basically let us know that you're both hopefully disease free. And that's something that the state's going to be pushing to make sure that we protect everybody. And when we go to see houses, please refrain from driving the same car as your realtor. And it's recommended that you have hand sanitizer in your car or with you when you're viewing homes. We're going to be asking home sellers to leave all the lights on, leave doors open, leave closet doors open, and maybe leave some cabinet doors open in the kitchen, just so that you can see everything without having to risk touching anything if you can help it, and then hopefully refrain from touching any surface in the house. And once you find that perfect house, we're going to get you approved electronically. We're going to send you a contract for digital signatures. We're going to do almost everything else virtually to get you to settlement. We are here for you, and anything that you need, we will be happy to talk to you on the phone, to sit with you on Zoom, to do a go-to meeting, to FaceTime with you, to FaceTime with the seller so that you can see the property. We want to try and help you through the process as easily as we possibly can and make this process work for you so you can get into the house of your dreams. And remember, our business is based on referrals. Our goal is to get you through the process safely and get you into that home of your choice, and we're going to do our best to exceed your expectations at every turn. And if you don't have one of our agents to work with, if you do, go to the agent you're working with. If you don't, you can check out every listing at zaphomesearch.com. Now that downloads the entire multi-list every 2 minutes. It's up to date. In many cases, it's more up to date than Zillow. You've got real properties on there. Some sites online give you some fake properties to try and attract you to fill out forms. They can sell your information to realtors. We don't. And it gives you a comprehensive search, so you can search for singles or townhouses or whatever you're looking for, lakefront, waterfront, anything with a 2-car garage. You can actually plug all that in for your search. I look forward to working with you. Anything you need, please give us a call or check us out on zaphomesearch.com. Again, this is Lauren Keim with Century 21 Keim. Love to hear from you.